Hey folks, so today will be quite philosophical talk, It will be about the identity systems and I will talk about the identity more and more. So, we have the big projects that always aim to change the identity world completely, and a lot of them failed. And maybe the failure of these projects and maybe the complexity of the identity solutions that we currently have the root cause. And one of the root causes that every time we do the same mistake, every time we try to create some governance framework that give the user some unique identity, and this identity should be universal and solve all the user need. And it's part of the problem. So I reading quite nice book. I recommend it to you. So it's Learn Digital Identities, and there it's a lot of interesting insights. And author is amazing person. And one of the big ideas that we actually do not behave this way on the real world. So when we try to create digital identity world, we not copy pasting from the reality. So we force user to create the accounts, to create some long-term relations everywhere, and it's a problem itself. But the bigger problem that you could not have one universal identity because simply on the real life you don't have this universal identity. A lot of philosophers, a lot of psychologists agree that our understanding of ourselves is quite complex thing, and it's fit not to something that united and single. It's rather the network. Humans are social creatures, and we interact with the other people and form the networks, communities, different kind of organizations and all other things. But we interact with these social networks as a network itself. I'm not talking about our brain, neurons that create the neural network. No, that's slightly different. You are a different person with different attributes in different contexts depending on the interaction. So you are the network of the identities that interact with some other networks of the identities or other communities. So it's one thing that we always miss, that we need something that allows us to build not the centralized identity, but rather the system that will track our relationships with others. And the sum of the relationships actually is the identity network, that how we represent ourselves to other players and how we interact with other players. And identity is more and more what I'm reading right now and what I'm trying to think, that identity systems, it's more about not the personality or the users or any super smart authorization mechanisms. It's more about the relations. And we have problems with this relation because right now majority of the authoritative systems try to build a long time and quite dictatorship relations that belongs to the platform, and that's it, and try to steal from user as much as possible data about the user, even if they don't need this data. But on a real life you do not behave like this. If you go to the coffee shop just to buy a coffee every morning, probably you don't need to show your ID, date of birth, prove your gender, and do a lot of other things. Probably barista already knows you, and he even could guess what kind of coffee you will order. And this kind of relations are called the pseudo-anonymous relations. So we have some kind of identifier that allows to the system build some current relations with you and even collect some data about you, but you do not share actually who you are. You just create some peer-to-peer relation with this guy. and you do a lot of interactions during your commuting to the work, on your workplace, and all other things. Some of these relations are long term, some of these relations are short term, some of these relations just ephemeral, because you go, you buy, you do some transactions, and yeah, but all this require completely different attributes from you. And so maybe the proper way of building the identity systems is, first of all, focus on the relations first, give user possibility to build a long time, short time, and ephemeral relations. And what more important, to do not try to build some universal identity. Give a user a possibility to build the peer-to-peer identities, to build the public identities, to build the identities that have some scope and local group meaning. So I keen to hear more what you are building in this space, what you are doing with this space, with the SSI tools. If you have some useful thought, just write me in the comment, ping me on LinkedIn, let me know, subscribe to our channel, write the comments here. I will be happy to hear from you more. Choose.